The midday news. The news is live on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra. In Kumasi, we are on Love 99.5 FM. Affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions. We are on A1 Radio and Dreams FM in Bolgatanga. We are on Kekeli Radio in Ho. We are on ATL FM in Cape Coast, Fafa Radio in Joja, and Jatar FM in Karaga. We are live on X Spaces. We are on Facebook. We are on myjoyonline.com. The midday news is proudly sponsored by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity. Petrosol is always a delightful experience. Also brought to you by Duroplus Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC and HDPE pipes and water tank. We are the only water storage tank with a level indicator. Where Duraplus goes, water flows. This afternoon, families of kidney patients continue to lose their loved ones as the renal dialysis unit of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital remains shut for the last 6 months due to a 4 million cedi debt.
The most painful one, his name is Charles, but Charles was a very young, vibrant guy, very handsome. We do send him going to buy food for us. Even when you see, you won't believe he's sick.
This afternoon, we hear the story of pain and penury as persons with end-stage kidney disease say they see death approaching every day. Meanwhile, Ministry of Health is meeting with the board of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital to discuss how to make the renal dialysis unit accessible to patients. We have details of that. Also this afternoon, Pentecost elder kidnapped by armed robbers in South Africa set free.
He was kept in their custody for 48 hours, but thankfully he's been freed now.
So the police was involved in...
Absolutely,
okay.
They were.
And
they were.
There was no ransom paid?
No.
We have details. Plus, if you're planning to travel to South Africa beginning today from Ghana, you will not require a visa, but there are some conditions.
The arrangement frowns upon people or Ghanaians who will come in to stay forever, or Ghanaians who will come in to study on this arrangement, or Ghanaians who will come in and then refuse to leave the jurisdiction.
Also this afternoon, managers of the National Cathedral say it is fully cooperating with Shraj in the ongoing investigations into alleged conflict of interest, plus opening itself up for accounting of its books.
The idea that somehow a project of this nature will not want to be accountable, I can't fathom it. I can understand it. But this notwithstanding, I want to state categorically that there is no criminality in this project.
We have sports.
Black Stars Trio in contention for honors at the 2023 CAF Awards.
And in your election headquarters, look beyond any one of tempting monetary offers from other candidates. That's the final appeal of Dr. Ogusuefiri Yakoto to party delegates ahead of the NPP presidential primaries.
Beyond any tempting one-off monetary enticement, and think about the future of the party for the sake of your children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren.
We'll get to hear from another aspirant, Francis Adenimo, revealing the financial implications for the race.
Assuming you have 200,000 delegates and you go to a constituency and you give each person as a way of your TNT, cost of transport of 100 Ghana cedis, that straight away gives you 20 million Ghana.
That's and more in this afternoon's edition of the Midday News. I am Emefa Apau, and this is your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Please do stay on for details. Many thanks for your company. We dig in now and start off from the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. And families of persons who have, kidney diseases are also continue to lose their loved ones 6 months after the renal dialysis unit of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital remains shut. This afternoon, we are learning that the Ministry of Health, Kwekwaji Manmeno, is expected to meet the board of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital to discuss how to make the renal dialysis unit accessible to outpatients as it does remain shut for the past 6 months, like we've been talking about. Well, that's according to the PRO of the Ministry of Health, Kweku Ofe. We'll hear from him in a moment, but first, at a press conference yesterday, the Renal Dialysis Patients Association said 5 more of its members have died, bringing the death toll to 19 in the last 6 months alone. It is now a story of pain and penury as the persons with end-stage kidney failure say they see death approaching every day. Listen to one of them, 46-year-old Gifty Labi.
The most painful one, his name is Charles, but
Tell me about Charles.
Charles was a very young, vibrant guy, very handsome. We do send him going to buy food for us. Even when you see, you won't believe he's sick. When there is something, he will be taking care of everything. Even if we are there and we ask the two of us, who will go first? Everybody will point to me.
If you say who will go first, what exactly are you talking
about? If we are saying who should die, they will point to me, they won't point him because he's young.
You freely discuss that?
Oh, sometimes we do. When we are there, we discuss what happens to us. Oh, today.
This is what you see death approaching?
We see death every day. We see.
How?
Sometimes, you are there, you may be on the machine, you might not know what will happen. Your heart can fail you, you can die. It comes with heart and diabetes. So if you have diabetes, if you have heart problem too, it causes your kidney to spoil. So that's it. So it hasn't been easy.
Well, other members of the association have been speaking to Joy News after the press conference yesterday. They say life has become very unbearable for them.
Yeah, it's been very, very challenging. I mean, I'm not getting support from anywhere currently because everyone is financially unstable. My mom is not working at the moment. Back home, I mean, things are not really going on well, so it's been very challenging. Once a while, friends come in, family members also come in as well. Once a while, it just comes. When it comes, I go. When it doesn't come, I just stay home. I'll plead on the government to come to our aid, at least include dialysis on the NHIS, because we are really suffering. People are dying. I believe by doing so, it will reduce the morbidity and mortality rate in the country. Yeah.
My parent died when I was young. I was schooling at Bryasu Senior High, and I had kidney failure, so I have to come home. When I came home, I told my sister about it. We came to Kolebu. They diagnosed me at Kolebu, so they put me on the machine.
Well, Presidential Advisor on Health, Dr. Anthony Nsiah, speaking during a special Joy News program on the matter, assured that the government is going to intervene to make the services available to outpatients. But that is yet to happen as government has not cleared the 4 million debt it promised to settle. President of the Renal Dialysis Patients Association, Kojo Bafo Ahinkra, says the long-lasting solution is the removal of taxes on the medical consumables.
We are begging the government, the consumables, the taxes on the consumables. Because now, if the government says it's going to do something on Kolebu, all the pressure will be on Kolebu. Everybody will come to Kolebu. But if the taxes are taken off, the private centers too can have a very moderate prices for them so that they can go into. And the Kolebu has to check the prices dialysis centers that they are doing the right thing too. This is the appeal we are giving to the government. As they look at the tax section, and then that 4 million the taxes the Kolebu is going to Zenon. They should see to it for us because, my dear, and this thing that they are talking about is going to take them about between 6 to 12 months. What Okuboy said. Oh, you close this thing from May, and now we should wait for another year before you can put this on NI. Then before then, all of us will die.
Well, Joy News is learning the Ministry of Health will be meeting the board of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital later today on how to resolve the challenge. Maxwell Agbagba has been following this for us. Well, what are we learning exactly on this?
Well, MFA, our source at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital says the 4 million Ghana cedis debt has not been paid, and for the consumables that they have, if they are to make the dialysis services accessible to outpatients, they will be forced to shut down the unit in 1 month. Now we are learning the Minister of Health will be meeting the board later today to resolve the challenge, and also how to make the Kolebu dialysis unit accessible to the outpatient. So that meeting is expected to take place today.
And Maxwell will definitely be following up on that meeting for us, and then we'll know what the outcome will be. But let's bring in the Deputy Ranking Member on the Health Committee, Dr. Kurt Nawani. We are grateful for your time here on the Midday News. I suppose your committee is very interested in this matter because we're told that that 4 million debt or deficit will be cleared by government. But since May up until now, the situation remains the same. What kind of briefing are you getting as a committee on this matter?
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to the listeners of Joy Radio. As a minority in Parliament, we took this issue up, and I have to say that we've done all that we can. We even paid a visit to Kolebu to listen to them and understand the situation. We've dealt with the Minister of Health and have pressed that they should, as soon as possible, make Kolebu operational for the outpatient patients. That is because we all know the role that Kolebu plays, and even though there are private facilities that provide these services, first and foremost, they are not enough, and secondly, their prices will be obviously be higher than Kolebu. We know that the government is owing them, and we are urging the government to do something about it. I know that Kolebu cannot operate without the support of government. I'm saying this because the price or the cost of the consumables is dollar index, and we know that when you import things that are dollar index, obviously as the dollar falls, the price of the items go up, and so I'm not surprised that they are calling for an increase.
But Dr. Nawani, for those who are listening, in terms of these kidney patients, amongst others, and their families, what we would like to hear from you as a deputy ranking member on the committee is whether this matter would definitely get some attention from you now that Parliament has resumed.
Yes, we actually resumed yesterday, and this issue of fees is before the subsidiary legislative committee of Parliament. I also expect the Kolebu management to appeal to or to come over to the subsidiary legislative committee or appeal to us to accelerate, the processes, or probably make a new approach to us through the Ministry of Health, so that we can look at the fees that they are charging. Okay. I know that they have closed down this unit not because of the lack of consumables, but because of the quantum of fees they are supposed to charge. I mean, if they are supposed to be operational, it's too high.
Okay.
And charging fees above what has been approved by the subsidiary legislation of Parliament is illegal. And that is what might have prompted the unit to scale down its operations. And so they should come and talk to the legislative committee, the subsidiary legislative committee of Parliament.
We'll leave it here. We're grateful for your time. That's the Deputy Ranking Member on the Health Committee, Dr. Ket Nawani. We've been hearing also that there may be a statement later today on the floor of Parliament on this particular matter, and we'll definitely follow this matter up for you. Now, an elder of the Church of Pentecost kidnapped in Johannesburg, South Africa during a robbery incident in church last Sunday has been set free. He was freed on Tuesday night and has been reunited with his family. The Church of Pentecost had declared a 3-day prayer and fasting to ask God to intervene for the return of the abducted deacon during last Sunday's armed robbery incident in the church. Ghana's High Commissioner to South Africa, Charles Oredu, tells my colleague Elton Brobe the police was instrumental in freeing the church elder.
He was not found. He's been freed. So, of course, when this thing happened, the police got involved, and then other authorities, that were seized with this matter also started doing their best. The Church of Pentecost itself, the Ghana High Commission, were thoroughly briefed. Then, subsequently, the deacon was freed. So as we speak this morning, last night, he joined his family. He's doing well. He's with the family now.
What briefing did you get? Was it a case of kidnapping, robbery?
It's kidnapping, because if you take somebody against his will, and then what else, can we say? So you all saw the video. The guys went in there, they robbed all the congregants of their mobile phones, their wallets, their monies, and whatnot. Then they took him along. So he was kept in their custody for 48 hours. But thankfully, he's been freed now.
So the police was involved in...
Absolutely,
okay.
They were.
And there was no ransom paid?
No.
So in terms of protection for the Ghanaian community, what is being done?
Elton, this I would say this is an outlier. This is one of South Africa is a very beautiful country, and then in most of these cities across the world, across the globe, everywhere you go, you have some pockets of some of this criminality, going on. I wouldn't say this should define South Africa because it's it welcomes South Africa welcomes people across all divides.
Well, that's Ghana's High Commissioner to South Africa, Charles Oredu, there interacting with my colleague Elton Brobe. Well, this incident is coming at a time that Ghana and South Africa are going to implement that free visa waiver that's starting today. Elton, you've been trying to find out from the Ghana's High Commissioner to South Africa, Charles Oredu, on what the terms are. Is it just I get up today, pick my passport, and I'm going to South Africa?
Exactly, Emefa. So if you have a passport that is not close to 6 months to expiration,
okay,
you can just pick it, have your ticket, and then you can fly to South Africa without requiring a visa. And according to him, they did a test run of the process yesterday at the Oliver Tambo Airport, and it went smoothly. But what you need is that once you approach an immigration officer, you must give indication as to who you are visiting, your residence. These are key information that's required of you, and you are to stay 90 days in a year. So, for example, I go to South Africa today, I'm there for a week and come back. The 10 days will be taken out of my 90 days. But if I go and I spend all the 90 days in South Africa and I want to go again, I have to reapply for a visa for another year. Charles already has been explaining more.
That you just pick your passport and your ticket, and then you leave. But then, ordinarily, when you are traveling, you need to have your accommodation. You need to know where you are going to, and so that when you are engaged by the border control officers, you tell them, you convince them that indeed you are coming in to visit and that you are not coming in to work, because the arrangement frowns upon people or Ghanaians who come in to stay forever, or Ghanaians who come in to study on this arrangement, or Ghanaians who come in and then refuse to leave the jurisdiction.
That's Ghana's High Commissioner to South Africa, Charles Oredu there. Now, the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, is considering creating an artificial channel for the rest of the floodwaters in the Mepe community. Even though floodwaters caused by the spillage of the Akonsombo Dam have receded significantly in most affected areas of Mepe, some low-lying areas still have highly polluted, stagnant waters, posing danger to residents. But speaking to Joy News, the Deputy Director General of NADMO, Saji Amedono, reviewed plans are underway to pump the rest of the water from the community.
As we already envisaged, we knew that when the spillage eventually stops or reduces, the water will start receding. But because some places in the communities are quite low-lying, those water collected at those places, receding will be very difficult. So what we are doing now is try and look for channels that we can dig to channel the water into. One major challenge we are realizing now is that if you take Mepe, for instance, there is no drainage anywhere. They don't have any drainage system. So that compounded the problem.
We'll get to hear from the District Chief Executive of North Tongue Divine, Osborne Fenu, shortly, who has reviewed the Assembly's intention to carry out re-engineering of drains and the demolition of structures on waterways in the Mepe community. But first, let me bring you my colleague, Carlos Kaloni. He's been in the community for days, joins us on the line with details. So let's talk about how spread the stagnant flood water that NADMO talks about is, and what plans really there are to improve the situation.
All right, Emefa, so these stagnant waters are actually located in areas near the St. Isidro Smith Haven, especially where the Navy has been ferrying residents across to the St. Isidro School. And places like the Vime and the Gomez settlement also hold significant amounts of these stagnant waters. And I can say that about 30% of the flooded areas in Mepe still have these stagnant waters. And the stench emanating from these stagnant waters is really unbearable.
Well, thankfully, the MCE has been interacting with you on the plans going forward. What exactly are they?
Indeed, the DC Define Feno has been indicating the District Assembly's preparedness to actually construct storm drains to enhance the flow of fresh flood waters from the community. But he added that some houses that are sitting on waterways would have to be pulled down.
As we already envisaged, we knew that when the village eventually stops or reduces, the water will start receding. But because some places in the communities are quite low-lying, those water collected at those places, the water collected at those places, receding will be very difficult. So what we are doing now is try and look for channels that we can dig to channel the water into. You know, one major challenge we realize that if you take Mepe, for instance, there is no drainage anywhere. They don't have any drainage system. So that compounded the problem. So channeling stagnant water into existing drain is difficult, but we've managed to locate a drain between the Goma and Divima, where we can dig a channel that might take some of the water in. Maybe what we might be looking at, which we are also considering, is the areas that we will not get any channel to channel the rest of the water.
Let me take you to the Upper East region now, where we are told some youth and some government workers have threatened to lay down their tools if the 8 detained residents of the town are not released. In a press conference, the youth, clad in red and holding placards, demanded the release of the suspects with immediate effect. The 8 were airlifted out of the district following a military raid, but their whereabouts or charges are unknown. The youth, many of which are government workers, also want a full-scale investigation into the incident. Emmanuel Isaka spoke on behalf of them.
Of some 8 individuals who were unlawfully tortured, arrested and kidnapped to undisclosed location. We would also like to add that if we don't see them by close of day to day, all workers of government institutions in Garu and Timpane would lay down our tools.
Albert Sori joins us on the line. Albert, what's the situation? Are they really carrying out the threat?
So what they have said is that their leadership, together with their lawyers, are going to meet with officials of the NIB this afternoon, and whether they carry out the threat will depend on the outcome of that meeting. So they are waiting for that.
But do we know if community heads, DCs, ministers, what exactly they are doing on working to get these detained persons back?
I spoke with the DCE for Timpane this morning. What he says is that the head of the military in Boko has informed them that the arrested are still with the NIB in Accra and they are in good condition. Whether they will be released or not will happen later today. So they are waiting for information on that.
That's our Upper East regional correspondent Albert Sori taking us on a quick break on the Midday News, live on Joy 99.7 FM in Accra, in Kumasi on Love 99.5 FM. The Midday News is sponsored by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity. Petrosol is always a delightful experience. Also brought to you by Duraplus Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC and HDPE pipes and water tank. We are the only water storage tank with a level indicator. Where Duraplus goes, water flows. We've been hearing from families of kidney patients who continue to lose their loved ones as the renal dialysis unit of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital remains shut for the last 6 months due to a 4 million cedi debt. We return from the break with sports. We hit the election headquarters, and then also managers of the National Cathedral say it is fully cooperating with Shraj in an ongoing investigation.
He was kept in their custody for 48 hours, but thankfully he's been freed now.
So the police was involved in...
Absolutely, they were.
When budgets are tight and money difficult to come by, you want to be sure you get the best value for your money. These are not times to be spending money fixing expensive engine problems because of cheap fuel and lubricants. Drive to a Petrosol station today and buy your quality fuel and lubricants, and rest assured of fuel that lasts long and lubricants that prevent expensive engine problems. Hear the sound. Petrosol, clean fuel in full quantity.
Imagine say water wake up at dawn. E no bath, e no chop. When it vanish for your area for 2 weeks, you not get one drop safe inside your tank.
Hey.
Hajia, our life was in dangerous. Only our neighbor get water with water tank.
Water tank?
Yes, water tank. Mamma mia, that water tank get meter for checking water level. That water tank be fine past Kumasi Selenium. That water tank be tough like Ghana Army. That water tank, they carry water pepe. So say some no go left inside the supply tank. What a tank! As my boss, Mr. Poncho, go talk.
Beautiful, durable, with water level indicator and accurate volume of water. Water tank. What a tank! By Duraplast.
Thanks for staying with us. Time for sports.
Yep, MFA, good news for Ghana because Thomas Partey and Mohamed Kudus, they have been nominated for this year's CAF Player of the Year award. Now, last season, Partey played a pivotal role in Arsenal's title challenge against eventual winners Manchester City. Kudus also scored 18 goals and provided 7 assists for Ajax before his move to West Ham in the summer. Now, both players helped Ghana qualify for the 2022 World Cup and next year's AFCON. They will compete with the continent's best players, including Sadio Mane, Riyad Mahrez, Mohamed Salah, and Victor Osimhen for the topmost award. Now, Ghana's Ernest Nuamah as well is in contention for the Young Player of the Year award. The event is scheduled to take place on the 11th of December in Morocco.
Thank you very much, Mubarak. Now, managers of the National Cathedral say they are fully cooperating with the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, SHRAJ, which is investigating alleged conflict of interest by some trustees of the project. He also mentions that they've opened themselves up to an accounting firm auditing its books. Executive Director of the project, Dr. Paul Opoku-Mensah, says they've been transparent in the management of the project. He's been addressing political parties on the progress of the work.
There are 2 ongoing audits of the National Cathedral project that seeks to look into issues of accountability, namely 1, an investigation by SHRAJ into issues of conflict of interest and procurement, and 2, a financial audit by Deloitte. So the notion somehow that we are running away from accountability is simply false. In fact, since January, SHRAJ has been involved in detailed investigations. We've been cooperating. They've been, for the last information I saw from SHRAJ was a questionnaire to the contractors about how they came to be selected, and they wanted all the details. So everything is being detailed. There's detailed audit, Deloitte, extensive information they wanted. The last information they wanted was even anybody who's contributed to the National Cathedral, they wanted details. So to be sure that there's not been any fishing, we say we are committed to ensuring that the process takes the time it needs so that we will restore the confidence in this project.
That's the Executive Director of the National Cathedral Project, Dr. Paul Opoku-Mensah. And it's time to get into the election headquarters. We are getting ready for November 4 is this Saturday. And your election headquarters, we are gearing up for that upcoming presidential primaries. And Dr. Owusu Yakoto is appealing to delegates of the party to prioritize the interests of the NPP ahead of any monetary offers from other candidates.
Listen the delegates directly. Dear delegates, please look beyond any tempting one-off monetary enticement and think about the future of the party for the sake of your children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. Stand with me on the side of the great UP tradition of our forefathers. In this regard, the party is making the necessary arrangement to ensure that all delegates are able to travel to the voting centers to cast their votes without any fear or intimidation.
Another aspirant, Francis Adenimo, has been revealing the financial implications associated with the race.
This is not what was anticipated when we decided in 2009 to expand the delegateship for the election of either the flag bearer or parliamentary candidate. One of the objectives in expanding the Electoral College was to cure the monetization.
Too big to pay for everybody.
Yes. But now we are realizing that it has not solved it. And for me, it is worrisome.
Well, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, on the other hand, is defending his record in the Nana Akufo-Addo-led government. According to him, although his role as Vice President does not give him full control to manage the economy, he supported the government with great ideas.
The Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, speaking at a mammoth rally climaxing his campaign tour in the Upper East region, made reference to digitization in transforming the economy under the Akufo-Addo government. He's optimistic of doing more if he becomes president.
And you know that the work of a vice president is like the work of assistant headmaster, isn't it? Or first vice constituency chairman, isn't it? That is the nature of my work. It means that if by the grace of God you make me the presidential candidate and I become the president, I will do much, much more.
And that's Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia ending today's edition of the Midday News. Remember, this is your election headquarters. Election Eve comes your way November 3. Great analysis with head of our political desk, Evans Mensah, Winston Amoah, and Raymond Akwa. It's Friday evening. You can't miss it. On November 4, which is the D-Day, till the last ballot is counted. And then also the declaration is done and the speeches, but great analysis. You can't miss our coverage here. Your election headquarters. Online, on television, and on radio. I am Emefa Apau. There's more when you log on to myjoyonline.com. We have Living Word with Pastor Mensah Otabil up next. Have a good afternoon.